Alright, Shots here, and today I would like to share with you a couple of tips and tricks for fighting Kruger-like guards, drones, and even ways to avoid receiving combat damage by the VTOLs, as I want every other runners out there to be experienced in combat, because a lot of people think that the combat mechanics are lacking in some ways, but this is not the case. Other than some minor bugs, glitches, and shortcomings, the combat here is really well thought out. It has room for improvement, yes, but it's enjoyable. It's easy to learn but hard to master. So without further ado, let's get running. First off, offline mode. As you might already know, the game in question has a couple of online user-generated content features, and these can get in your way at times. So I prefer to stay in offline mode whenever I'm doing a Kruger run or just any mission in general. This does not affect the other aspects of the gameplay in any way, and it allows for much more focused gameplay. Tip number 2. Don't always dodge. This contradicts what the game tries to tell you on multiple occasions, but it's true. Dodging actually gives the enemies more allowance to hit you, as the enforcers, protectors, and shot protectors have a wide range of melee attacks. Sometimes it's better to just go for the other one straight away, keeping your momentum. This can be seen in the sample footage. Tip number 3. Always try to finish enemies off with light attacks. Most newcomers to this game made the same type of mistake, spamming heavy attacks. Heavy attacks are only useful when directions or diversity is given, not when you walk up to them and do a frontal kick. Always try to mix in light attacks when possible, especially when the enemy has a low enough health to be finished off with one, as this will give you more focus shield to shield you from bullets, melee attacks, and other forms of attack. Tip number 4. Soft landing pads. Both VTOLs and drones need time to charge their ammunition before they engage. You can always tell when a VTOL is about to open fire by the sound it makes. It gradually gets louder and more dramatic. Use this to jump for soft landing pads only after the VTOL has shot a couple of rounds, as once you make it down there and land, you would have lost all your focus shield. So make sure you only make the jump when the pilot is reloading. Also, here is a bonus tip that is somewhat related to combat, as it gives the enemy pilot less time to shoot you. Press left control right before landing on the soft landing pads to get up faster. Here is a sample footage showing just how much quicker it is. This controlled experiment was done precisely to prevent any difference in controls other than pressing the left control button. Tip number 5. Avoid taking down drones unless you are at critical health. Drones act as traveling security cameras, as well as moving weapons. Once you destroy a drone by disrupting it once then kicking it down, you are at the risk of getting out of sight for too long. You don't want this unless you're trying to avoid the combat part of the game as much as possible, because once you get out of sight for too long, they will stop coming after you, and your kill streak will have to end there. This has happened to me on multiple occasions, but if you're about to die, it is worth taking the risk to destroy the drone on your tail, but once you do, look for the nearest security cameras, so you don't get out of sight of the Kruger-like operations team. Tip number 6. Take some time to memorize the map. To do this, you either free roam as much as possible, or you could get the realistic model map mod, available on Nexus mod site. This mod allows you to see the entire city as it actually looks, instead of white models. Take some time to memorize the map, because you have to know it inside out if you're trying to get a high score for kills. Tip number 7. Slide attack to take out enforcers. Enforcers are very untrained in terms of hand-to-hand combat. The developers made it even more prominent in the fact that they can be taken out with nothing more than a slight heavy kick once you have the full upgrade tree unlocked. Use this to take these units out easily. Tip number 8. Play in a higher FOV. Playing in a wider field of view allows for more enemies fitting into the frame. This means you know where all the enemies are without having to waste time looking around. Tip number 9. Use Disrupt generously. Disrupt gets revealed faster than you think, most of the time. All you have to do is keep running. So don't forget the fact that you have Disrupt, and start using them against the guards as soon as you get the hack comms upgrade when you're in trouble. Tip number 10. How to deal with Sentinels. Sentinels are quite easy to deal with. All you've got to do is spam switch place. Here is the sample footage. Just make sure there is no one else to break this infinite switch place loop. Tip number 11. 180 and 360 spin attacks. Sometimes your enemy is outside of your line of attack. A good way to align yourself and the target is to practice aiming with the wrist. Snap your wrist into the direction you wish, and they should go into your field of view. Once they are in the frame of the camera, time it right and Faith should automatically correct their location to her enemy. Tip number 12. Slide light attack. When you're at the second wanted level, VTOLs appear and start gunning you down. This is a problem as unlike the drones, the VTOLs are dedicated aircrafts that can't be destroyed, even with the use of gadgets like Disrupt. So here's a tip for when you run out of focus shield during a fight. Run up to them, slide, and click the scroll wheel to do a light attack instead of a heavy one. This gets you way more focus shield, and also allows you to keep your momentum, despite the fact that it does no damage to them. Tip number 13. Do not do a traversal attack on the edge. I'm not telling you to avoid fighting on the edge as a whole. Fighting on the edge and kicking people off buildings is an effective way of dealing with enemies, but doing a high ground attack near the edge of a rooftop, not so much. It increases the chance of you falling off the edge to your death. Tip number 14. Always keep a few security hubs available. KSEC guards always protect the security hubs that were built as mirrors for reflection. As long as there are a few security hubs that you have not destroyed in the City of Glass, you should theoretically never run out of guards to kill. Just leave the security hubs for a while and come back, and they should have respawned automatically. Tip number 15. Make them spread out. Do not engage until they have spread themselves out. All the classes have a wide range of melee attack, which means you're likely to be damaged a lot, if not dead. Luckily for us players, the guards seem to be blind to this fact, and they spread out, which makes it much easier for us to handle. Unless of course you're playing for the thrill. Then I suggest you go into the fight as soon as you come out of the door. Tip number 16. This is more of a fact than a tip, but the white VTOL deploys units even on level 2 wanted levels, as this footage shows. Tip number 17. Take out the enforcers first. The enforcers are the ones with the guns. Therefore, they are the ones who are effective in long range combat, but only long distance combat, right? Wrong. Like I've mentioned before, they have a wide range of melee attack that does just as much damage as the protectors. Then why did I say they were not trained for close quarter combat? That only applies to them having less health points, and the fact that they can be taken out with consecutive light attacks. So always try to deal with the enforcers first, then get rid of the other ones. You do not have to follow this particular tip, as sometimes you just get a really good chance to take someone out, but it is a different unit. I'd say see what fits the situation, then act accordingly. Tip number 18. Do KSEC alerts in downtown glass. Downtown District is simply the best place to do a Kugasek kill game in, simply because it has more doors and a wider surface area. Other smaller districts like the View is a bad choice, generally because there are way less doors for the guards to spawn from, and you might run out of places to go to. So that was pretty much it for part 1 of combat tips and tricks for the game MEC. I really hope you learned a thing or two. I'll be posting a comment in which you can click the time frame and it will take you to the tip. I will also upload a part 2 of this video to turn it into a series, if it reaches 100 likes. And that would not be forced because I still have a lot of tips that I want to share with you guys. So subscribe for more Mirror's Edge, gaming and tech videos, and this is Shots signing out.